What if I told you that the most terrifying mystery in human history isn't about what we found, but about what we didn't find? Today, we're diving into a phenomenon so bizarre that scientists refuse to talk about it publicly, and those who do often find their careers mysteriously derailed. Picture this. You wake up tomorrow morning and every single photograph of your childhood has vanished. Not stolen, not destroyed, but gone as if they never existed. The frames are still there, but they're empty. Your family swears the photos were never there to begin with. This isn't fiction. This is happening to people right now, and it's spreading. The phenomenon began appearing in research papers around 2019, buried in obscure academic journals that most people never read. Scientists started documenting cases of what they clinically termed selective material absence. But the real name whispered in certain circles is much more unsettling: the erasure. Dr. Sarah Chun was the first to notice the pattern. As a digital forensics expert, she was investigating a routine insurance claim when she discovered something impossible. A family's entire photo collection spanning 30 years had vanished from their cloud storage, their hard drives, even their printed albums. But here's the disturbing part. The storage space was never freed up. The gigabytes were still occupied by something that wasn't there. When Chun tried to recover the data, her equipment detected file signatures for images that didn't exist. Metadata pointed to photographs that cast no reflection. The family insisted they had thousands of pictures, but when pressed for details, they couldn't describe a single one. They remembered taking photos, but couldn't remember what the photos contained. Chun published her findings in a small cybersecurity journal, expecting academic debate. Instead, she received a visit from people who claimed to represent a government agency she'd never heard of. They asked her to stop her research. When she refused, something extraordinary happened. Her own research began disappearing. Not just the digital files, but the physical evidence too. Lab reports she'd printed and stored in locked cabinets simply weren't there anymore. Her colleagues swore she'd never shown them any research about missing photographs. But Chun remembered everything perfectly, and that's when she realized the most terrifying aspect of the erasure. It doesn't touch human memory. Other researchers began coming forward, always in secret. Dr. Marcus Webb, a quantum physicist from MIT, discovered that certain particle interaction data from experiments conducted over the past decade had simply vanished from every database worldwide. The experiments had definitely happened. The results had been peer-reviewed and published, but the underlying data supporting those publications no longer existed anywhere. What made Webb's case particularly chilling was that the missing data all related to one specific type of quantum measurement. Every experiment that had detected what physicists call observer effect anomalies had been wiped clean. The published papers remained, but they now referenced experimental data that wasn't there, creating a paper trail pointing to an absence. A librarian in Stockholm noticed that certain books were disappearing from every library worldwide simultaneously. Not stolen, not checked out, but gone as if they'd never been printed. The card catalogs still referenced them. People remembered reading them, but the books themselves had been erased from physical reality, while leaving behind every trace of their existence except the existence itself. The pattern became clear to those brave enough to investigate. The erasure specifically targets evidence of things that reveal too much about the nature of reality itself. Photographs that captured unexplained phenomena. Scientific data that suggested our universe operates differently than we assume. Books that contain knowledge deemed too dangerous for public consumption. But here's where the mystery deepens into genuine terror. The erasure appears to be selective and intelligent. It knows exactly what to remove while leaving everything else untouched. It can distinguish between a photograph of a birthday party and a photograph of something that shouldn't exist. It can identify which scientific data threatens established paradigms and which data is safely mundane. Investigators started documenting their own cases of vanishing evidence. They'd photograph strange symbols carved into ancient stones, only to find their cameras had captured nothing but empty rock faces. They'd record interviews with witnesses to unexplained events, only to discover their audio equipment had recorded nothing but silence, despite showing full battery and proper function. One researcher tried an experiment. She wrote detailed notes about her investigation by hand, using old-fashioned pen and paper. The next morning, the pages were blank, but the indentations from her writing were still pressed into the paper below. The physical act of writing had occurred, but the information itself had been extracted from reality. The most disturbing reports come from families who've experienced what they call presence holes. They remember having a relative, a friend, a neighbor who was definitely part of their lives. They can recall conversations, shared meals, important moments, but they cannot recall a single physical detail about this person. No photographs exist, no written records, no digital traces. Yet the emotional imprint of the relationship remains, like a shadow cast by something that isn't there. The erasure appears to be accelerating. More people are reporting gaps in their personal histories, missing evidence of important life events, and the unsettling feeling that something significant has been removed from their world. The terrifying question isn't what's being erased, but what's doing the erasing, and why it wants us to forget certain truths while remembering that we've forgotten them. What absence have you noticed in your own life? Check your photos tonight. You might discover that something important was never there at all.